Firefighters worked to put out a fire in a residential building hit by a Russian missile strike in Kyiv on Tuesday. Gleb Garanich /Reutershide captiontoggle caption Gleb Garanich /ReutersFirefighters worked to put out a fire in a residential building hit by a Russian missile strike in Kyiv on Tuesday. Gleb Garanich /ReutersNUSA DUA, Indonesia, and Kyiv, Ukraine. President Biden said it was unlikely that a missile that caused an explosion in eastern Poland was fired from Russia, but he said the information was preliminary and said Poland's allies would support a full investigation. The explosion came as Russia unleashed a wave of missile strikes Tuesday at cities across Ukraine, hitting residential buildings and knocking out electricity in urban areas. In neighboring Poland, 2 people were killed in an explosion at a grain processing facility, just a few miles from its border with western Ukraine. In a late-night press release, Poland's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said a Russia-made missile had dropped on the village of Przewodów, and it had summoned Russia's ambassador to demand an immediate and detailed explanation. Earlier, the Polish government held an emergency meeting to deal with a Russia, meanwhile, said that any suggestion its weapons had struck Poland was an intentional provocation. President Biden gathered G7 leaders for an emergency meeting to discuss the explosion. They were in Bali for the G20 summit. Saul Loeb /AFP via Getty Imageshide captiontoggle caption Saul Loeb /AFP via Getty ImagesPresident Biden gathered G7 leaders for an emergency meeting to discuss the explosion. They were in Bali for the G20 summit. Saul Loeb /AFP via Getty ImagesBiden calls an emergency meeting in Bali. The strikes came as world leaders were gathered in Bali for the G20 summit. President Biden gathered a small group together, the heads of G7 nations as well as the European Union and European Commission, for an emergency meeting on the explosion in Poland. Afterward, Biden was asked whether the missile had come from Russia. There is preliminary information that contests that, Biden said. I don't want to say that until we completely investigate it.